It's a minute or two after 12 on the East Coast, so let's begin. Hello and welcome. I'm Scott Arnold, your moderator for today's masterclass. Thank you all for attending. We have organized today's roundtable into 4 topics. Zoom's question and answer functionality has been enabled, so please enter your questions as the masterclass progresses into the Q&A feature. Questions will be answered throughout the event as each topic is covered. We will be conducting a 4-question survey at the end of today's roundtable, so please stay on to participate. We'd love to have your feedback. Poll results and survey information will be shared with those taking part. I would like to turn over today's event to Gary Morris, Successful Channel CEO, for our panelist introductions. Gary?
Excellent. Scott, thank you and welcome everyone. We are thrilled to have 4 of the channel's leading women with us today on our panel entitled Lady Knights of the QBR Roundtable. We were attempting to have a little fun with our masterclass theme to highlight the channel battle-tested experience and knowledge of our panelists. We're particularly fortunate to have 4 women channel executives at the end of Women's History Month. Each of our panelists are long tenured executives in senior channel leadership roles. Each has extensive experience in partner program design, channel management, channel sales, and partner performance management. I am Gary Morris, CEO and founder of Successful Channels, the QBR company. We provide partner business planning and QBR tools for managing business partnerships. And I'm going to ask each panelist to introduce themselves, starting with Heather, which I understand a happy birthday is in order. Happy birthday, Heather.
Thank you for that. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Heather Miller. I'm one of the channel managers here at Havas. If you're not familiar, Havas is a global leading manufacturer of mobile technology solutions. We serve various markets such as public safety, utilities, warehousing and material handling, even transportation, a lot of retail solutions. So when folks are trying to be mobile, we can help them with our solutions. My role is really dedicated to our distribution partners as well as our growing ecosystem. And in doing that over time, really have to formalize some kind of structure and bring new programs to the table, and be really inclusive in doing that. So I think we've been able to bring a lot of new collaborative tools to our program to create mutual success and, ease a lot of burden internally. And of course, bring a lot of great intel to partners and also our leadership.
That's excellent, Heather. Thank you very much. Aaron, the Director of Global Sales Operations at Extreme Networks. Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Gary, and hello, everyone. My name is Erin Crowfoot, and I have the honor of representing Extreme Networks today. A little bit about Extreme. We are a leader in cloud networking, delivering solutions to connect devices, applications, and people in new ways. We're constantly pushing the boundaries of technology, leveraging machine learning, AI, automation, and analytics to create a consumer-centric experience. So speaking of analytics, for the 10th consecutive year, Extreme Networks has powered the NFL in the Super Bowl with Wi-Fi analytics. So in addition to our stadium solutions, we also provide end-to-end networking for over 50,000 customers globally across all industries. Personally, I've been in the networking industry for well over 20 years in various capacities and organizations, but I've always really found myself in roles that focus on transformation. So I currently am Director of Global Channel Sales Ops, and I lead this amazing team that is focused on experience through our programs, tools, and business processes. So specifically for our partner community as well as our internal team. So standardizing on business plans has been a huge game changer, and that's what has brought us here today. And so thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Aaron. That's excellent. I'd also like now if Renata, who's joining us from Sao Paulo, Brazil, she's the Chief Marketing Alliance and ESG Officer for Logicalis Latam. Could you please introduce yourself, Renata?
Sure. Hi, hello everyone. My name is Renata Randi and I lead Marketing Alliances and ESG for Logicalis in Latin America. I'm really excited to join this roundtable, bringing a slightly different perspective. Logicalis, as an IT solution provider, builds its solution on top of technology partners' platforms. My team concentrates on developing and nurturing a strategic relationship with this ecosystem of tech partners like Cisco, AWS, Microsoft, so that you can build joint solutions for our customers and take them to the market. I have 30 years of experience in the IT industry, which brought me valuable insights into the industry and its challenges. And that's what I would like to share today. Outside of work, I enjoy reading, traveling with my family, and exploring wines from around the world.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Renata. And our last panelist is Lori Kornmester. So, Lori, if you don't mind, could you please introduce yourself to the group? And I'm sorry, Lori is the SVP of Worldwide Channel and Alliance Sales at Deepwatch.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really delighted to be here and to be part of this discussion. As Gary said, Lori Kornmester, I am at a company called Deepwatch. Deepwatch is a fast-growing company, leader in MDR services, kind of helping customers stop threats and attackers. And so it's been a great space, great learning. I've been in channels for about 28 years, starting out as an inside salesperson, working at a distributor. So I played just about every role there has been and have really loved this part of the business. I'm really excited about this topic today because I think sometimes we overlook the simple things that can have big impact. And so, business planning for me is always part of the mantra that when I come in and I'm designing a team or leading a team, it becomes one of the things that I step into first and foremost. So excited to be here and look forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Lori. That's fantastic. Well, we clearly have the right people in the room to discuss one of the hottest topics in the channel in 2023. That is Partner Program Required Business Plans and QBRs. Today's topic is how to organize and implement joint business plans, or JBPs, and quarterly business reviews, QBRs, for your business partnership. For too long, channel programs have been managed on an ad hoc and an informal basis. Today, more than ever, channel organizations are requiring formalized joint business plans that set measurable goals and well-defined action plans. These plans include performance to plan dashboards, partner life stage scorecards to map out success plans. And in partner business planning, all roads lead to tasks. Task tracking is an important part of every MBR and every QBR you complete. These business plans and reviews are now delivered in a fraction of the time and updated in real time to assist channel team members to consistently deliver plans and QBRs at scale. So let's kick off our discussion topic. I'm going to start with Aaron. This topic is partner program priorities. So Aaron, what are your top partner program priorities for 2023?
All right. So I would say, our program really is all about business outcomes and solutions for our partners and the customers that we serve. So we've got 4 keys to success, and that is around driving growth, building competency and loyalty with our partners, increasing scale, and moving to the cloud. So that's through cloud activations and net new logos. So in order to get there, we're really focusing on simplification and then rewarding the behaviors that are directly impacting the goals. So this is where the QBRs and the business planning are making a huge impact for us. We're able to set goals with our partners and align to our corporate objectives to drive growth. They're creating and committing to joint action plans that include strategic sales strategy, technology competency, and activities. And this clear and organized and simple plan with visibility throughout the year to track their progress helps us with that loyalty element. So because we're able to standardize on the business planning with our partners, we're also able to incorporate it as a requirement into our program. So in order for partners to be eligible and have access to marketing funds, they must have a developed, approved, and accepted business plan on file with us.
So you've answered a couple of the questions in that same response. So thank you. And by the way, anyone that has questions for Aaron as we're going, and Renata and Heather and Lori, please put those in the Q&A because we want to respond to each of those. So Aaron, I'm going to skip down to a couple of other questions. What are your partners looking for from you in 2023?
Okay. So, networking is evolving. We as a manufacturer of products and solutions are evolving, and so are our partners. So what we're finding is they really all want to have a choice in how they're transacting and engaging and selling with us. But they're also looking for some guidance around building new practices, whether that be as an MSP or looking at different as-a-service models and any other new routes to market. So, there's that. But of course, they also want to make money and they want it to be easy. So, we know that partners are working with many vendors, right? Extreme is not the only vendor on their line card. So we need to focus and have been focusing on being more transparent and easy to work with, so that they're more likely to lead with us. So that commitment to growing with our partners and working to continuously increase their visibility with their business and, showing them how they can be more profitable with us. Those are really what they're looking for the most.
I'm ready to sign up right now to become a Extreme Networks partner. It sounds great. All right, so you've answered, I think we had 5 or 6 questions for you. I think you answered all of those. Scott, can we bring up the first poll question and have Aaron, if you can just lead the group through that first poll question. Maybe just read the question to
Sure. Yep. So what is your company looking to get out of your channel in 2023? So this is you can pick multiple options. So let's see what they're saying. Ooh, do I get to fill it out too? It popped up on my screen.
No, I just tried and it said I'm not allowed.
Not to worry, our attendees are rapidly replying. Lots of good feedback. Thank you. Very active participation. Thanks to all for participating. Excellent. Thanks very much. We'll end it in another 5 or 10 seconds once we get everyone to reply who would like to reply. There we go. Thank you all. I'll end the poll here. And let me share the results. Aaron,
oh, wow.
See the results?
So it looks as though our top 2 are all around access to new customers, as well as partner-led revenue, which, I think they kind of go hand in hand, right? So partner bringing us new business, I 100% agree with that. We're always looking for opportunities to expand our reach. So I think that's great. I'll open it up to the rest of the team if they have any other thoughts or input on this one.
I could add to it because at the end of the day, I'm a system integrator. So I do have partnership with all the vendors and the tech industry. And then and I believe that it's exactly what we see at home, that we want to extend our reach, but we need help to do that. So I believe that's a win-win situation, that we are able to bring deals to us, and we are able, of course, to join efforts to do a great solutions to our joint customers. So I totally relate to that answer, and that's exactly what I'm looking for when I'm dealing with tech vendors.
Perfect.
And Aaron, sorry, I would just add the differentiation is a huge one too. It seemed a little light, but I think with so much technology and choice in the market, you really have to set yourself apart.
Agree.
Yeah. And I would just add, partner-led revenue becomes the easiest way for us to not have to defend our lives every day, right? So at the end of the day, it's like, what are we creating in terms of lift for the business? And how are we doing that? By, deal registrations and partner-led revenue. So completely resonate with that. And that continues to be kind of front and center for sure.
Perfect. So Scott, Bob, do you mind? Scott, I think we can close the poll. Did we get any questions, Bob, for Aaron before we move?
We did. This is a question for the group. Have you had experience in tailoring existing partner programs for specific industries, for example, financial or healthcare? And what are the main covenants to keep in mind when tweaking the partner program around strategic partners?
Yeah, we're actually going through a little bit of that right now, because we understand that, it's not just pushing boxes anymore. We're selling solutions, and we want to empower our partners to be able to, present with a well-rounded solution based on that industry. Some of the challenges, I think, is if you're trying to shove requirements into a general program versus looking at opportunities to create it as a niche or a opt-in specialization, or, that has a separate subset of incentives, rewards, and activities that you would expect for them to do. So again, I think in our experience is trying to make a one-size-fits-all program and business plans, it just doesn't work. You got to be dynamic and look at ways to supplement.
Perfect.
Great, thank you. I have one more question. The question is, how are you able to get your partners to focus?
That's a great question. I think that being really clear on our technology and our vision with the technology, and in developing those relationships with partners. So if you develop a good rapport with them, you're doing the business planning, you're both investing and invested in that relationship, you're going to keep their attention because you've got a really strong relationship.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aaron, wouldn't you also say that part of the metrics are important too, right? To get their attention, to get their focus.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? What you measure is kind of what is looked at, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So as soon as you go into the performance dashboard and you can see those numbers right in front of your face, it's kind of, hey, we've got a long way to go, or, let's focus and shift energy here. So yes, that's a great call out, Lori.
All right, so I'm going to keep moving along here. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Aaron and Lori, for those responses. I'm going to change topics to partner program design. So I've got a couple for Lori. Lori, what are your top priorities for your partner program in 2023? And what are the key challenges for implementing that partner program?
Yeah, so I would first kind of say, let's define what it is, right? I think always kind of going back to the foundation. A partner program is a business strategy that we as vendors like to use to encourage our partners to sell our products and our associated services. So the reason I do that is because every time I'm coming into a company as a channel chief or as a leader and part of the program, I'm either coming into a net new situation where you're building from scratch, or you're coming into an existing program. In either scenario, you've got to have what I call guiding principles. Otherwise, here's what happens. It becomes overcomplicated. And here's the rule of thumb. Easy, simple wins every single time, right? For partners. The more complicated we make it, the less they're going to be able to understand it and adopt it. So when I say guiding principles, I say things like, we want to drive profit, predictability. We want to build trust. We want to build alignment. We want to make sure that we're rewarding partners for the investment that they're making in Deepwatch. We want to make sure that we have a commitment to customer satisfaction. Whatever those things are for you, create 5 guiding principles. And that way, every time you go to evaluate something, you can go back to those guiding principles and say, is this in line with what we thought? In addition to those guiding principles, I kind of look at outcomes I desire, right? And so that poll was a great lead in because, yeah, absolutely. I want to make sure that I always sort of begin with the end in mind. What customers are we trying to serve? What markets are we trying to serve? And what behavior do we want our partners to play in that? So if you start with that in mind, then it becomes very easy to say, I want to attract new resellers in these spaces, in federal or whatever that is, or I want to improve, deal registration or lead gen capabilities. I want to improve overall pipeline development through education. I want to improve their visibility through data. I want to improve their engagement through business planning. So come up not only with your guiding principles, but also what your outcomes are before you even start anything. And then I think you can start to lay things down.
Well, that's great. Laura, I love how you detailed all the elements. I guess with that as the context, what role do partner business plans and QBRs play in the implementation of that program design principles that you just laid out?
Yeah, they absolutely play a role. So, a lot of times you'll see us have, as part of the program, some of us are still in the levels, right, of the program, but each of those levels has a requirement, right? It's an exchange of energy, right? And this becomes so the exchange of energy says, if I'm going to allow you to participate in this level as a requirement, I'd like to make sure that we have a business plan in place, an agreed upon business plan. And at some levels, it's like outside of that business plan, I'd like to make sure that we have a quarterly review so that we can make sure that we're reviewing that. And so those are all great, sort of requirements to have as part of the program and as part of kind of building an understanding of each other.
Perfect. Well, I think we covered most of the topics we had. Maybe we can get launch the poll. And Lori, can you just take us through the poll question?
Absolutely. It says, what are the key elements, requirements of your 2023 partner program?
Scott, have you launched the poll?
I am working to launch the poll now.
And as you're bringing it up, I'll keep reading. It says different requirements by different partner levels. A lot of us are still doing that. Requirements by different partner types, partner marketing enablement requirements, partner sales enablement requirements. So what are the key, and there's multiple choice. So you can choose several. So we'll wait for that to come in.
I've launched the poll and I do see some replies coming in. Thank you all. Here we go. Lots of responses. It looked like our participants were diligent in reading all the options before they started, because we're really getting some nice responses now.
Good.
Okay, I'll close the poll in another 5 or 10 seconds, as long as we still see responses coming in. We'll keep it open. Okay, it looks like everyone's in. Let me end the poll and share the results.
Okay, 58%, 65% are partner sales enablement requirements. So that's your sales and technical enablement pieces. And then 58% requirements by different levels. A lot of us are still doing that. What's next? 48% different requirements by different partner types, right? Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Lori, you said a lot of us are still doing that, as opposed to what? What is the partner level versus what? What's the alternative?
Yeah, so there's an alternative out there, and in fact, I was part of this alternative during one of my last companies, but a lot of companies are looking at just a base discount that they have for partners, and instead of it being levels, it's everybody kind of has the same base discount, and then you have an additional discount for deal registration, either partner sourced or the vendor sourced. So a lot of companies are just going to a flat kind of discount rate with some additional pieces on top of it. But there's a lot of different ways to kind of spin it now outside of just levels and just letting partners kind of compete on their value to the customer.
And Lori, what's the pros and cons of those two alternatives from your point of view?
Well, I think that because sometimes, well, here's the thing. Again, remember we talked about simple kind of wins every single time. So I think that the challenge is a couple things that partners are not familiar with it. So it takes some time to now kind of get partners kind of used to this. What does it mean? What are their benefits? You know, are they losing margin? Are they gaining margin? Are they, you know, so there's a whole transformation education that kind of goes along with it. And then, you know, again, I think it's also your ability to really measure and on partner activity. So do you lose a little bit in having requirements around technical and sales? Do you lose a little bit on managing and tracking kind of marketing opportunities as part of a requirement? So I always look at it to say, you know, I want to be able to measure ROI. I want to be able to look at visibility into partner activities, and, you know, kind of solve for a lot of those things. So I think that the cons are you lose a lot of that. Now, the pros are you don't have a lot of channel conflict because now everybody's at a base rate and the partner who kind of gets there first kind of wins that, you know, that race. And so we'll see. I mean, time will tell. Some vendors took that strategy last year, and it'll be interesting to see how it's all panning out this year for them.
Thank you, Lori. Bob, any questions for Lori that came up?
Actually, there are a couple. This is from Greg. I hear what everyone is saying, but is there anything you can contribute today that you wouldn't have thought of 10 months ago? Seems that so much is changing, hourly remote work, AI, layoffs, etc. Do the talk tracks of yesterday still apply?
They do. And, you know, here's why I say, Greg, that, you know, this goes back to my rule of being simple. I know I keep saying it, but, you know, simple is not easy. You know, that's the problem. Keeping things simple. And what I mean by that is the program structure is simple. My value proposition is simple. My metrics that I communicate to my executive team, you know, there are 5 things that are most important instead of a dashboard of 25 things that maybe I want to see, but my readout to them is 5 because they're not going to remember much more than that anyway. But I think the thing for my guidance would be just try to keep it simple. And that's what partners appreciate. And it allows you to, you know, really communicate the value props a lot easier when it's a lot more simplified in my view. So
Great, thank you. Well, I have one more, Gary. Can we
Sure,
ask
just a brief response, Lori, and then we'll.
yeah.
Can we ask a very basic question? Who does QBRs and what is covered today? So far, we've even scratched the surface, in his opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, Ralph. And, you know, you can always reach out and I can kind of share, you know, Gary's got some good templates as well, but I'm sure a lot of people have some good templates. But the QBRs are done typically by the channel account manager, the national partner manager, who's included in that usually, you know, myself as running channel. Maybe I'll have one of the sales VPs, you know, on there, depending on who that is. But it is the channel account manager running that relationship that drives that. And they talk about metrics, right? How are you doing in pipeline development? How are you doing in partner-led opportunities? How are you doing on your sales and technical enablement? How many marketing events did we do? And what was the outcome of those things? So those are some of the examples of that, but I'm sure Gary's got tons of stuff on that he can share.
Thanks, Lori.
Of course.
Thank you very much. That's excellent. So we're moving along really well. We're going to focus on Renata. It's great having Renata on here because what's great about what's happening with Logicalis is the large vendors didn't really have their act together. They weren't doing formal business plans and QBRs, and it wasn't making for as positive a relationship. So they're taking the lead of defining, here's how you do business with Logicalis. So why don't we start with our first question with you, Renata. How have you implemented partner business plans as a program requirement for your channel?
Gary, this is a great question, because when we started discussing developing partner plans for our strategic partners, we found roadblocks all over the place. My internal teams, sales, marketing, and delivery portfolio, they were not convinced that we needed Formal Ones. Our partners were not convinced as well. So we always used spreadsheets, slides. Why change? But I believe that's the catch. We were able to demonstrate that the partner plans helped align partner goals and Logicalis goals. The plans at the end of the day were the best way to keep the partnership KPIs on track and to gain visibility of the expected return on investments for both companies. Because we as a system integrator, we deal with many different partners, and we need to make sure that we're putting our money to go to the results that we're expecting. So it took a while, to be very honest, but we were able to secure the required internal support and also the partners' commitment. Today, we operate in 12 countries in Latin America. So can we imagine how it would be impossible to coordinate the partner engagement initiatives and ensure consistency in multiple countries without their proper planning? So our learning is that it pays off. It can be burdensome in the beginning, but at the end of the day, we have a better consistency now, a better visibility, and we have better data to make better decisions.
Right. So in that, you talked about business plans. How about MBRs and QBRs? How do they complement and getting those implemented? How are you doing that today?
Yeah, that's another great question, and that goes to someone already asked that question. I believe that both MBRs and the QBRs, they are very important components of what we call our partner management process. And they're essential to follow up the plan execution. In our case, MBRs have a more operational focus, and we evaluate performance to plan. Bookings, pipeline, deals closed, enablement progress, certification, market activities. We identify the gaps and then the actions that are required to address these gaps. QBRs will rely on a more executive audience. We review more strategic KPIs. We discuss the effectiveness of the ongoing strategies. We talk about competition. We analyze potential roadblocks that may be slowing our joint achievements. But both at the end of MBRs and QBRs, I believe that what's critical is to identify areas for improvement and the action plans to tackle them, so that we're able to create a virtual cycle of feedback, assessment, action plans. So because at the end of the day, what we want to do is to measure success, is to accelerate our growth toward the object that we define it together. So they are key and they are very important, and we're making sure that we have the MBRs and QBRs with our strategic partners.
Perfect. Renata, I know the answer to this question, but maybe share some of the metrics that you are using in your partner dashboard. We talked about horizontals and verticals. I loved how you presented that, but also what are the different dimensions that you measure in your plans to indicate success, commitments, and success?
Yes, again, it depends, of course, on the joint objectives that we define together with our partners and how we're going to measure success. But someone asked about if it's changing compared to the past. And I believe that's an interesting learning that we have. It's changing because now we have new KPIs that will allow us to move from a more hardware reseller type of business to more a service-oriented business. Also, what type of services we're being able to build on the top of the platforms that we resell from our tech partners. So it's a combination of qualitative KPIs and quantitative KPIs. So we measure things like new logos, revenues, pipeline generation, deal size, but also recurring revenues, influenced revenues. Well, how many services we were able to generate of our own on the top of these platforms, and how many leads we were able to convert into business partner-led leads, or the ones that we generated. So that's a huge combination of this. And you mentioned horizontal and verticals. We organize ourselves in two different, in a matrix way. So we have the verticals that are go-to-market, and we have the horizontal that are portfolio. So we are also measuring success by vertical segments and all the markets that we serve, but also by the different portfolio offerings that we have. So we have networking, we have hybrid cloud, and so on and so forth. So we are also measuring success by the different areas of portfolio that we have, and also by the verticals that we serve.
So Renata, I'm sure the question that's on everyone's mind is, how the heck do you get that done? You know, how do you practically implement that? It's kind of a leading question, I realize that, but how do you execute consistently across with all these different metrics and activities?
Oh boy, that's a journey, because as I believe that as everybody else, we started using Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, and then we had a SharePoint repository to keep all this traceable. And then we shared these documents with our partners, and then we tried to create some discipline and taxonomy to ensure that all the parts were on the same page. But as the complexity and the number of strategic and top partners increased, our life became really complicated. We have to develop a Power BI dashboard to follow up on the quantitative KPIs. And goes without saying how difficult it was to manage different applications, languages, currencies, and documents. So, and I believe that's a key point in here. I started looking for a solution, a platform that could give me this type of solution: qualitative KPIs, quantitative information with no restriction to how many seats would be available to our professionals, and that could work as a single source of truth internally and to the partners. So, and then at the end of the day, it was kind of a preach. We have to be selling all the time the value that we'll be able to collect in all of it. How we'll be able to free time to the employees so that they'll be able to use their time to analyze the insights, and so that we could accelerate our revenues, our time to market, our time to profitability, and so on and so forth. And then I believe that to be here today is a good example of how we were able to identify a platform that help us to have this integrated and automated platform. And one thing that's really interesting, that's really cool, is that it allows us to have an internal view. So my professional, my team can use it, but our partners can use it as well. We have different views that complement each other. And so we don't need to change emails, presentations, spreadsheets. It's all in there. You can have different views, you can have different perspectives. We work on a single source of truth, and makes our life much easier, because now I'm freeing time from my team. And I always tell them that I want them not to be alliance professionals, but to be alliance architects that will be able to get insights out of this data and really do a good job of creating value, true value, to our customers and together with our partners.
I think we should have had 4 separate webinars. We've got so much great knowledge and experience here. Scott, can we put up the poll quickly for Renata? Do you mind just walking us through this? And then we're going to got one more, please.
Sure. What are the objectives you are including in your 2023 joint partnership plans? Again, it's a multiple choice.
So, Scott?
Okay, I've launched the poll, and I do see some replies coming in. Here we go. Thanks, everybody. Very active participation, Gary, so we're going to let the poll run for another little bit. Thanks for everyone's participation. It looks like it's slowing down. We'll keep the poll open another 5 to 10 seconds. Okay, thank you all. I'll end the poll. Oh, one more. There we go. Last call. Thanks, everybody. We'll end the poll here, and I'll share the results.
So here you go. It looks like that acquire new logos is top of the list as expected. But also, of course, that once we do that, we are expanding our core revenues. I believe that to build solutions around what we already have is to protect what we already have and build on the top of it. And then we have a more even a distribution around the developed partner-led services, target competitive market share, and so on and so forth. So I believe that I totally relate to that, because at the end of the day, they are covering all the objectives that we also have as a system integrator together with our tech partners.
Perfect. Hey, Bob, any questions for Renata?
Yes, there are. Is there any guidance or experience you can share around enabling a partner in services, sales, pre-sales, post-engineering? And what sort of guidelines do you keep in mind when determining what level of enablement is required?
That's really interesting. At the end of the day, we categorize our partners by different segments, if you will, based on how foundational they are to our business, the size of the investment that we are willing to do together, and what's required to make that partnership successful. So based on that, we are going to say, okay, that's all the requirements that I have. I need to invest on certifying these people, enabling these people, and so on and so forth. And that's what I will get out of this enablement process. And so what we're trying to do, we are trying to promote together with our partners some, let's say, gamification, if you will, that's helping us to train our people. And then it's part of a program that after they are training, they are some rewarding, if you will, or we are inviting them to join more complex projects or more strategic projects, so that we make the enablement and the training part of their journey. They are willing to do that. There are rewards along the way. And then a good way of working together with the partners, making the enablement and showing them a journey to how to get a more strategic to the company as well.
Great, thank you.
So thank you. So, I mean, there's just so much great content and feedback. Heather, I would like to switch gears to you, if you don't mind. We're going to talk about how do you get the partners and your channel team members to actually complete the plans? So what are the barriers to getting adoption, and what have you done to help achieve adoption of the planning and QBR process itself?
Yeah, I think for us, the standardization is fairly new. We have a lot of great people doing a lot of great things and managing all their partners, but we really had to, we all keep talking about standardizing, getting a formal structure in place. And I think it's about, lead by example. So we've really tried to take the best of what everybody's doing and try and put that into a system or figure one out, which we have recently done, of course. I think time is always something people are concerned about. But like all things, put a little of, more of the time up front. And, the reward is really a huge benefit. Inclusion in the process, of course, you want everyone to kind of weigh in, and we needed a flexible system to be able to do that. All things can evolve, including the system that we're putting in place. Communication and training, and I think that that's also a huge thing that we're always considering top of mind with onboarding anything new. The unknown, of course, but all of these things, we just have to keep showing the benefit. And again, look at best solutions internally and externally. And I think a lot of those barriers that you talk about, that could be, with our own team, just new adoption, or with the partners. And I think, again, it's always, I love Lori keeps saying, just keep it simple and show the reward. And that's really what you need to do. I know Havis, we're growing. We're global, our team has grown, our solutions have grown, and we needed a more structured system. So we have recently implemented it, and the reward is already, amazing. That idea of that one-touch QBR, really, really amazing. And, Renata touched on it as well. Be able to see your metrics, and great, where are you winning? Of course, we all love that, but where are the gaps and where are the opportunities? And in real time, be able to show that data is really amazing, and all be doing it the same way.
Right. Heather, only because we were working on this early this morning was your performance metrics. I think you at Havas have some really interesting performance metrics. Would you share with the group what types of metrics you're using to measure program performance at Havas?
Sure. Because our technology really, our product line serves many regions, many markets. Our lines are, growing. So they're the big things that we're looking at. Obviously, performance to plan. And I think that the other key thing is having a shared vision with your partners, so that you can lay out the best plan, and then all the folks can execute it, and then reassess, which we've also touched on. But I think for us, performance to plan, once that's agreed on, we want to see the product families, where we're winning in those, and where we need to take a look. Obviously, what regions are we going into as we try and, really focus on global growth, and also those markets. We're serving so many, but where do we want to put our resources? Where do we want to put our time? Where do we want to add bandwidth? So all of this reporting can do that. And just speaking of distribution specifically, because they're layers up, watching those metrics with them is really interesting. And I think that is another key benefit is, back to the adoption piece with the partners, to be able to show that and do the heavy lift for them with a great system, I think can be really, really powerful.
So you've answered several of the topics that we had listed. I was wondering maybe if we could, Scott, activate the poll, and then Heather could read the poll question, and let's run that. It's a really interesting poll question.
Okay. This poll is, how have you configured your business planning and QBR systems to gain high rates of adoption?
So please select all that apply.
Yep,
Okay.
so multiple choice.
Okay, Heather, the poll is live,
Okay.
and that's a meaty question and lots of meaty options there. So here comes the start of our responses. Thank you all. Please keep the replies coming. Lots of good responses coming in, Gary, Heather. Still active, lots of participation coming in now. We'll give it another little bit. Thank you to everyone who's participating. Okay, I see the replies slowing down. A few more trickling in. Thanks, everybody. Okay, we're going to close it in another 5 to 10 seconds. All right, looks like we've got everyone. Thank you all. I'll end the poll here. And Heather, let me share the results for you.
Okay. All right, so looks like winner here. They're all pretty close, but each goal, activity, and tactics. So obviously that's a great answer. I mean, without a plan, you can't execute it. And a huge part of the execution is really granular tactics, so that you can pick team members. If you're not doing, all the load yourself, you can pick, resources either internally or externally. The guided step-by-step process, also really critical to this whole thing. Creating that business plan and doing it jointly. I keep saying internally and externally, but and Aaron touched on it, much earlier, because each partner is unique. So it has to be flexible, and you have to be able to assist your partners and your team to make it successful. Look, I think the reality is we're trying to create synergy internally with our teams, right? Makes it much easier for all of us to have a combined winning, structure, and then be able to present it in a unique fashion with various team members to various partners. So for us, it's been a huge win. We're looking forward to getting deeper into it and, broadening it with our team and partners. But everyone on this call today said a lot of great things, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, and Heather, I just wanted to supplement what you were just reviewing, because when we first started launching the tool, I think there was an undercurrent of people feeling like Big Brother was tracking them, and they weren't. We hadn't done the best job, I think, at communicating or showing them the true value of leveraging the tool to help them be more strategic in their engagement with their partners, rather than administrative support and pointing them in the right direction for this and that. So really being clear on expectations of use, and clear on the added value, and that it's not about tracking and making sure a PAM or a CAM has put at least 5 activities in their business plan. It's around creating very strategic and intentional activities that are leading towards the end goal. So
Yep, no, that's great, Aaron. Absolutely.
Bob, any questions for Heather?
Yeah, actually, there was an interesting comment. Somebody said you need a none of the above option, because there are so many companies that are doing none of the above. This is the purpose of the masterclass. But the other question was, our biggest struggle is getting our channel account managers to be more strategic on planning with partners. What has helped you train your CAMs by being more strategic and not accept goals like become a top partner in North America? That's not a strategy.
Well, I'll say from my seat and from Havis, I'm a part of the team. It's, as mentioned, just taking the best of the best. And I think our leadership, they're putting out their vision, and then each team can kind of work on their strategy. Bringing that strategy then to each partner, and again, having a shared vision with them. What is your partner's goals? You have to establish what the shared goals are. And I think that, again, from the team that I'm a part of, everyone is really led to be very strategic, and that comes from the top. And I think that great tools, again, another plug, but we're in it now. And I think that it's forcing that strategic planning. And the partners so far are really, really loving that we're doing most of the work, and then they can jump in and collaborate.
Right. Well, do you provide, or do you have to provide incentives for your partners to participate, or do they get it?
So far, they get it. I think, and we've all touched on it, showing them the metrics, showing them where we're all winning, and showing them where the opportunity space is a great thing for everybody. And the tool's been able to do that. Again, real-time data, horizontal, vertical, all the above, and rolling all the tactics up and showing growth is good for everybody.
Well, listen, they've got some, I'm sort of blown away. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, Aaron, Lori, Renata, and Heather, for your time and your thoughtful participation in the panel entitled Lady Knights of the QBR Roundtable. Today, we definitely heard that business plans and QBRs are here to stay as an integral required part of channel programs moving forward. We heard that planning in the QBR process can serve as the hub of the wheel for managing, motivating, and measuring partnerships. We heard that they need to be shared, and they need to be simple.